Sup, fucker?
How the hell are you? How the hell are you?
How high of a frequency were you vibrating at?
Well, my arm's a little sore.
Yeah.
So 60% output, I think, there. I don't know what frequency that is. Probably 323 hertz, maybe.
Yeah, approximately.
Definitely hertz.
It's still less shaking than the person you got that from.
That takes so much, like, concentration to try to actually
Can't do it.
do without just doing it naturally. Or
I'll get a crazy handshake when I'm having issues with my elbow. And sometimes I think it's like nerve damage. My hand will just shake.
really,
But it only happens here and there.
do you take advantage?
Oh, yeah. Because all I got to do is hold it.
Oh shit!
I gotta go!
I'll be back in like 3 minutes.
Everybody at work is like, dude, we all share that bathroom. Not my problem.
Yeah, it's you got a problem with it. That's your problem.
There's a cleaning guy that comes in every other day. It's fine.
It's his problem.
Just mopping up. It's terrible. You want to talk about Baba Vanga?
Baba Vanga.
Sounds like a rip-off of John Wick. Baba
Sounds like a foreign candy.
Yeah.
It's like a taffy, but it tastes like Brazil nuts or something like that. Like a big hunk, but like Baba Vanga.
Big hunks are gross.
I like big hunks. I'm that old. It's like our parents' generation of candy. Like my mom, maybe because she's from the islands, some people like it, but she like loves black licorice. And but that's like what candy was back then.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I hate black licorice. Love Jaeger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strange.
Yeah, I don't mind Jaeger at all.
You know what candy I still find fucking disgusting? Abba Zaba. Abba Zaba, you my only friend.
Doesn't that taste a lot like Big Hunk?
Yeah.
It's like an almond nougat.
Yeah. But it's more like taffy than anything.
No.
I never liked it.
Have you had the freeze-dried Big Hunk?
No, I haven't.
It's pretty good.
I'd give it a shot.
So yeah, Big Hunk is just a nougat that's peanut flavored nougat with peanuts in it. I'm that old where like I remember getting those as a kid. And Chico sticks.
I was literally about to say Chico sticks. Like once in a while, I'll stop at Maverick on the way to work, and I'm like, ooh, a Chico stick, and then somebody sees you eating it at work, and they're like, what the fuck is that? And you're like, you piece of shit.
How old are you?
How do you not? This is like a Butterfinger before there was Butterfingers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're good.
With a lot more coconut flavor.
Oh, a lot more.
A lot more.
So good. It's almost worth the hour you spend afterward picking it out of your fucking
That's
teeth.
part of the fucking draw for me. It was like, yeah, I ate that thing, but now I'm gonna have another half an hour of eating that thing. Like, oh, score.
It's like the everlasting gobstopper of non-fruit candies.
Yeah.
Because you're just...
You get a big chunk, crunch it like, oh shit, got one.
Got one.
So yeah, Baba freaking Vanga.
Baba Vanga.
Very, I don't know about controversial, but very interesting.
Prolific in the world of fortune tellers.
Yes. Yes. There's Nostradamus, Baba Vanga.
Some say they're almost equal.
She is known as the Balkan Nostradamus.
Yeah. Well, just to get the facts out of the way. So, she was born in Bulgaria in 1911, which I love the gun. That's great. That was so stupid. I almost regret saying it.
Yeah, I almost missed it. Bulgarian. Oh, 1911.
1911, an American classic.
Yeah, we just took a shot. I was kind of fucking getting wavy, my guy.
Yeah, same. And that was only one.
Yeah.
But yeah, lost her sight at 12 years old. And
so how did she lose her sight? That's an interesting story in itself.
that is an interesting story. I actually heard a couple of them, so I'm only going to tell the one that I thought was cool as fuck. Gangster, one might say. She got swept up in a tornado.
Yeah, she did.
That is so cool. But because of the tornado and the circling winds, all this sand got in her eyes and it ruined her eyesight.
Yeah.
Which, if you're going to lose your eyesight, that's the fucking way to go.
I got sandblasted while riding a tornado in my eyeballs.
Yeah.
That's why I can't see.
I think there's that, and then there's daredevils. Like, I got nuclear waste in my eyes, and now I have superpowers.
Yeah. I think that if I ever got swept up in a tornado, I'd probably close my eyes.
I think I would too. It'd be really hard to keep your eyes open with all that silica and
Debris,
sand.
yeah.
And, you know, you take a stop sign through the eyeball, and
I don't want to see what's coming, dude.
Yeah. There's nothing to hold on to if you're stuck in a fucking tornado.
Yeah, might as well hold on to your face.
Yeah, just cover up, and whatever's going to happen, happens.
Tuck and roll, baby.
Just like what I did at scout camp.
I'm just going to close my eyes, and whatever happens, happens.
You ever seen the movie Sleepers? Yeah, it's a lot like that.
My scout camp was not that interesting, I guess.
Were you religious? That's
Yeah.
probably why. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. Not that interesting. Learn how to tie some knots.
Yep, learned how to tie some knots, and I did learn that the G-spot is in the butthole. That's why I never filed charges.
Actually, one scout camp I went on, this is totally off subject. We're talking about Baba Vanga, but I'm telling this story because it was dope. Went on the scout camp, and it was like a week-long scout camp, and it was up in the mountains with like hundreds, if not thousands, of people, and they're like, everybody's like doing all these classes every day. You'd go to like all these different classes and get merit badges, and it was supposed to be kind of a thing where you're almost like a fast track to earn your Eagle Scout whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And but one of the nights there was like 200 or 300 kids in this camp, and we played Capture the Flag, and it was up in the mountains, so it was a big open area. And so it was like 100 people versus 100 people.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, and so everybody's dressed in black. I had this big black trench coat. And so I was just like army crawling across the fucking... And it was like the play area was like 300 yards, but it was all like sagebrush and trees and shit. It's just open, kind of mountainous desert area.
Mm-hmm.
So fun. Totally
That does
dope.
sound fun.
Scout camp was awesome.
Kind of gives me a flood of memories of like playing Smear the Queer.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine playing with that many people. Like, you're getting fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, when you play with 8 or 10 people, it was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never actually went to scout camp.
Oh.
I was joking.
Sounds like you missed out on both fronts. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to play Capture the Flag, and I didn't get molested. Life is hard.
tough. We all can't be Eagle Scouts. Then
Anyway, Baba Vanga.
Baba Vanga. I don't know if she was an Eagle Scout or not, but she was. So she
I can
lost
tell
her
you,
vision.
if somebody did try to do something, she never saw it coming.
Or did she?
Oh.
So yeah, she's born in 1911. When she's 12 years old, gets swept up in a tornado. All the sand and debris gets like in her eyeballs and pretty much just destroys her vision. So with her vision, her actual physical vision being gone, she develops another sense, and that sense is reading the future.
Well, it's reading the past and the future.
Yeah.
So word had got around that she could foresee things, and a lot of things that she had predicted came to pass. And so the government of Bulgaria had caught wind of this because literally hundreds of people are going to her door every day. And so they set up a test for her, and they sent 7,000 people to go meet with her and then try to have her say what their past was and also give some future predictions. And so these people would go do this and then report to the people doing the study, and between 70 and 80% accuracy that she could accurately predict their past, which in a country like Bulgaria, okay, you're the son of a farmer, oh, you're the daughter of a farmer. Like, there has to be some kind of limiting factor in that.
Yeah, so leading up to that, so after she has this accident, she goes to a special school and kind of learns how to read Braille and how to, basically teaching her how to be, a person navigating through this physical world as a person that doesn't have sight.
Mm-hmm.
And as she's doing this, she starts studying kind of like herbal remedies and kind of like natural healing type stuff. Mm-hmm. And so she starts to develop in her friend group and people around their neighborhood or their village or whatever they live in, she starts making like tonics and stuff like this with the stuff that she's learned, medicine that she's learned, like natural medicine, and starts like making these herbal tonics for people to treat their ailments. And so she kind of builds this base of people who rely on her for treating their symptoms of whatever it is they have. Like, it's in Bulgaria in the 1920s. They're going to her for like, my foot hurts, what do I need to do? And she's like, bring me 7 cattails and making witch's brews pretty much, but like
stick this leech on your eye and then spit into the wind.
Yeah, jerk off into your cousin's butthole. Like, I don't know what she's just making these tonics for these people.
I don't know. I heard it from some Bulgarian woman.
But so she kind of gains this following or gains this notoriety for having these abilities. And then she starts telling people, and her dad actually is the one that kind of confirms this thing. One day he loses all these sheep and can't find where his sheep have gone, and so he asks her if she has any idea of where these sheep may have gone, and then she tells him the sheep are at this one specific location. And so he like goes and finds them, and they're there exactly where she told him they would be. And so then he starts putting out the word that she's, able to see.
She's a seer.
That she's a seer, yes. And so that's when the word starts getting out and people start coming to her to give them visions of their lives and what they can do to be more prosperous, or, that's when the government kind of comes into.
Well, within that too, she had a brother, and she had prophesied with her brother, like, on your, I think it's 23rd birthday, you're going to catch a bullet and die. So don't go to the front lines on that day. And he wasn't supposed to until, this has got to be during World War II, I think. They end up forcing him to the front line on his birthday, and that's where he was shot and killed. So that's pretty dark prophecy to give to your own brother.
Yeah.
Hey, motherfucker, you're going to catch a bullet on your birthday.
Yeah, you have to know the backstory to that. It was like, were they in a sibling fight at the time? And she's like, you know what, you're going to die on your 23rd birthday, fuckface.
You piece of shit, you fucking deserve it.
Fuck you, quit touching me.
Just because I can't see to fight back, dickhead. Those are jokes, by the way. We're not alleging anything.
We're not alleging anything. Baba Vanga was, don't come for us, Baba Vanga.
I mean, she's been dead for a while, but...
Yeah, but with that psychic power...
She's just floating in the ether like, those motherfuckers.
She's like sensing her name being used in defamatory ways.
Oh, dude, now I'm kind of scared.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Good
telepathically.
thing you have all this ghost equipment.
Wouldn't you just shit your pants if it all just suddenly turned on and was going crazy?
Dude,
Like, I take it back.
How scary would it be to catch Baba Vanga's ghost, too? Because he was a scary looking motherfucker.
Dude, holy shit, when you see the pictures of her, you're like, it's a good thing she could see the future, because, like,
yeah,
she's terrifying.
You see her and you're like, yeah, she can tell fortunes for sure.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, she was in a comic book with Hellboy at some point.
Yeah. So, what are some of the prophecies that, so we've gone through, you know, her kind of backstory.
I've got a list here, just so happens.
There's, some of them are, they sound pretty accurate.
Yeah, so I kind of have two different lists here because there are more specific events, but then there's also a timeline of events. So I'm going to tell you the timeline first.
Timeline.
So in 2025, a conflict in Europe will start the apocalypse.
Sounds legit.
2028, humans will explore Venus.
Okay.
That's just around the corner.
Yeah.
2033, the polar ice caps will melt and cause most of the Earth to be flooded. In 2076, communism will spread to all nations. In 2130, we'll make alien contact. I don't like that date. It's too far away.
Way too far.
In 2170, there will be a massive drought and most of humanity will die of starvation. In the year 3005, we will be at war with the citizens of Mars. In 3797, we'll have to evacuate Earth. And in 5079 will be the end of all of humanity.
It's heavy.
That's pretty heavy. Let's go through some of the not so heavy ones. So she had predicted in 2024 there would be an economic crash. Kinda not. I'm on the fence on that one. She predicted 9/11.
Do you remember what the prediction was?
I didn't write it down, and I vaguely remember it. You tell it.
So I'm just paraphrasing here. It's something about our American brothers will fall when the two steel birds put them on their knees. And wolves are howling from inside of a bush. And innocent blood will be shed. Paraphrasing, that's pretty close to what you said.
Yeah. And that reads like fucking poetry.
Yeah.
The steel birds is the two planes. When we're put on our knees, that was a big time of religious reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And you even see some of like the 9/11 memorial stuff is somebody on their knees praying. And then wolves hiding in a bush. President Bush, who was behind the whole thing. What? I didn't say that. That's hate speech.
That is hate speech, and I don't like it.
YouTube will take it down. Let's see. She predicted the war in Ukraine. I think the writing was on the wall with that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of her predictions also was that Vladimir would be trying to take power in Russia, and Russia would be like a big deal. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
yeah, there was something with that, but it was, yeah, I don't remember it enough to quote it, but yeah, there was something with that. She predicted Obama being elected.
Was the 44th president would be black?
Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, Michelle Obama is black. That was terrible.
Yes, he is.
Oh, God.
Of course, we're just like talking super shit here.
We're joking. This is what we do.
Yeah.
She wrongfully claimed the world would end in 2023 due to nuclear bioweapons.
Fail.
Fail! She did predict that quantum computing would come to life in 2024, which she was actually kind of right, because there was 3 different companies working on quantum computation that actually came out with the device that'll do it.
Right.
Which is really cool.
Also, to preface all this stuff, she died in, 1996?
Yeah.
So, I mean, computers were a thing back then. Internet was barely a thing back then. So, like, to be talking about, like, technological stuff like nanocomputers and
talking
like
about
that.
things that are tens of generations away.
Yeah.
Like barely even a forethought.
Right.
So that's pretty crazy. She predicted the end of the world will begin in 2025, which, depending on who you ask, it's already happening. Elon Musk is taking our money. No, he's not. She predicted that Donald Trump would be the president, and in 2025, in February of 2025, he would fall ill and die.
Still only got a couple more days.
Today is the 24th, so 4 more days. Unless it's a leap year, I'm not sure if it is or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of big world-changing predictions.
Yeah, and as much as I like all this shit, like, there's no real, like, evidence that she really even said any of that stuff.
There's no documentation. There's no evidence. I think because she became so prolific within, like, the fortune teller realm, that anytime something would happen that was big, it was, oh, Baba Vanga predicted it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, did she though?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's kind of like Nostradamus. Like, Nostradamus is a famous fortune teller and teller of prophesier of the future. But he actually wrote them down in a series of quatrains?
I think that's it.
Basically, it's almost like a poem, but it's a riddle.
Yeah.
Quatrains, I think they call them. I don't know, I've had a few Vizzies. I'm getting fuzzy here. But he wrote thousands of them.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's kind of where his are, like, very kind of poetic, to be determined from the reader, almost like verses in the Bible, where I can read something, you can read the same thing and have two totally different outcomes of what it's actually saying. Even though he's giving prophecies, it's very cryptic, but he wrote them down. And so it's like, yeah, we have this thing to revert back to, like, what he was actually saying, or what he was actually writing, as opposed to Baba Vanga, where it's like, he said, she said.
Yeah.
That she said.
She said it.
Yeah. Take my word, bro. This is what she said.
Well, and I agree. The perspective of reading anything from Nostradamus is put it through your own lens. Because nothing is just outright. It's not, oh, Donald Trump is going to be elected the 47th president. It's not like that. It's a little bit more blanket, and you can interpret it however you want it. But I also tend to think that a lot of these, like, famous fortune tellers will put out a blanket phrase or something, and then people will eventually turn it into that and be like, oh, she predicted this. Look, this is the outcome, and this is what she said. And what she said will be kind of veiled, and you have to just force it into perspective for yourself.
Right.
But I also tend to wonder, and this is just my little peon mind out on its own, how many of these things that have been predicted but didn't come to pass are because of an ever-changing timeline?
That was my kind of thought about it too, was like, if we are, you know, in this multiverse situation, kind of like everything, what is it?
Everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah, where the timeline is fracturing at every point where there's a decision to be made. You know, are these predictions talking about different branches on this timeline of like, okay, we're heading this direction, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Yeah, it seems more like you can't know exactly what's going to happen for sure. I mean, there's a high probability that this will happen. If I'm driving down the road and there's a dead end at the end, you know, there's a high probability I can say, yeah, I'm going to stop at the end, or I'm going to crash and burn on the other side.
Yeah.
It just depends on what the fuck I do when I get there.
Yeah, no, I mean, every decision changes in outcome.
Yeah.
But I also kind of think about it in terms of, like, I 100% believe that we do live in a multiverse. And I think that resonates so much with every one of us in one way or another. You know, whether it's for Baba Vanga being able to see a future that's not actually within her timeline, or, you know, like when you have deja vu, I really do believe that's you kind of momentarily vibrating at another frequency of another version of you who may or may not be in the same place. I think there's all these little threads that tie us all together, which is why I feel like that's possible. And then you start factoring in things like the theory of the Large Hadron Collider, the biggest particle collider in the world, 14 miles in diameter, whatever it is, 14,000 meters, I can't remember. But, you know, there's that theory that every time that's been fired up, we shift into an alternate reality because we're creating a fissure in our own space-time.
Mm-hmm.
So it does stand to reason that I could cast a shadow of doubt by saying maybe what she predicted was another universe's version of things, or what she predicted was what actually happened to another version of her in another world.
Yeah, I mean,
Mind-bending concept.
it is another one of those, you know, mind-bending theories that we so often talk about here on the Dave-inci's Code. It's very possible that she is tapping into these alternate or universes that are tied to us through these different decisions that have been made throughout history and throughout future history, I guess you can call it. Is she seeing those through future past experiences, or you know, in these other universes that are sidelined to ourselves? Are they farther ahead or further behind in time space than we are? Maybe.
Well, I also kind of think about it like the double slit experiment, where watching a particle changes its behavior. So maybe viewing a future event changes the outcome of that event.
Yeah, it's like talking about like shooting photons, and they only react a certain way if you're actually watching them. If you're not watching them, then is it actually doing that? It has a lot to do with like quantum entanglement, and like things are going to do what they do if you're observing them or not. Like, it's a question that's a part of this whole quantum mechanic theory.
Yeah, in the whole thing with the double slit experiment, where there's a little bit of folly with it, is that it's not because you're watching them, it's what you're using to watch them with. Because whatever equipment you're using to be able to look at these photons or these particles is going to affect their outcome. They're going to behave differently when they're, let's say, affected by an electromagnetic field that's being produced by a camera or a microscope. So you could really still apply that same rationale to Baba Vanga, and if she's able to view these events, maybe they're going to be different because her consciousness is having an effect on it in some way, shape, or form.
Well, yeah, I mean, science could explain it through quantum entanglement of photons or atoms that are entangled across different dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the theory of quantum entanglement is that if you get two photons that are attached for some reason, if you act on this photon to make it spin this way, the other one is going to start spinning that way at the same time, no matter how far apart they are. So you could have one photon here and the other one on the other side of the universe and start spinning in this one this way, and the other one is going to start doing it at the same time. So it's like those photons are entangled with each other. So could that spread across multiple dimensions? I don't see why not, if it can, if it's doing that across space and time.
Well, if they're bonded like that, then it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean,
so to be able to, tap into that mind space of like seeing something happening because, this is happening over here and you've seen it in your other, you're quantumly entangled with another multiverse version of yourself.
Yeah.
In this other timeline that's seeing these things, then you'll be seeing them also.
Yeah.
To say it's going to happen on a certain date is kind of like, is it or is it not? I mean, this is a possibility that we could divert to the same time path with decisions that have been made and head straight into this same thing that's already happened.
Yeah. Well,
like I said, your mind just goes in circles with it. Like,
it does, and that's a really good point. It's kind of like when you're driving, you don't want to look at the thing that you don't want to hit.
Yeah.
Because if you stare at it, you're going to eventually veer toward it.
Right.
So if, let's say you get a vision of, nuclear destruction at a certain date and time, but you're getting that vision from another version of you, then just by you knowing that, and that is not only a possibility, but an eventuality, you're going to make decisions that are going to lead you right into that same outcome.
Maybe that's why she didn't write them down. Maybe that's why they didn't, focus on these things. She would say them, and then, once we've already passed that time mark, then we're like, okay, this is what was going to happen.
Yeah.
As opposed to,
that's a solid point.
Just another,
Well, again, it comes down to the, too much knowledge is going to melt your fucking brain.
Yeah.
So, if we as people knew the future, we would course correct too hard. So it's like, okay, this is the path we're supposed to go on that ends in nuclear war. So we're going to try to really go on the opposite end, and then we're going to fuck something else up over there instead of just go.
Yeah, casually just stay straight instead of turning either.
And then when you get there, just veer a little bit, and then course correct.
Interesting.
But I kind of think the same thing about all these alleged time travelers who have come back from the future, and they have all these predictions, and it's like there's a certain amount of accuracy, but not enough to make it viable. And you go, what if their timeline has changed now because they've come back and told us what's going to happen in the future? Now we've course corrected.
Well, I would even think that, if a time traveler came back and from the future, and they meet up with somebody, like, doesn't even have to be somebody important, like just an average person that's probably going to, like, spread the word, like, dude, I met this guy that said he was from the future. And, as soon as that time traveler comes back and starts talking to this person, they're already changing.
Yeah.
And so, like, imagine you're this time traveler and you come back to the past and you start talking to somebody saying this is the things that have happened. As you're talking to them and you're saying, yeah, in 2021, 20 or whatever, nuclear war happens. As you're saying those words, you're already changing the course of future.
Yeah.
And so, like, as you're talking, everything is changing.
Actively, yeah.
In the instant that you're actually speaking, so, like, it might turn those words into some jumbled mess of, like, 13 different fucking things, outcomes that could happen in the 2 minutes that you're talking.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why everything is such a fucking riddle.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have the ability to time travel, just making a decision about anything, you've already altered the future. So let's say we hop in a time machine right now and we go back to
1985.
1985. I was going to say 1995 just so we could tell Baba Vanga, you're full of shit. And
I
then
was
we
say
did.
1985 because that was Back to the Future.
That's true. It was 1985. But yeah, let's say we go back to 1985 and getting out and not, like, interacting with anyone or anything. Just get out, walk around for 5 minutes, get back in, go back to your own timeline. Surely one thing has to have changed.
Yeah.
But now you start putting in new parameters, like, okay, we go back to 1985 and buy a sports almanac and, you know, bet on some shit or, you know, for things that we know. Because betting on sporting events always seems to be like the time travel go-to.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we do that. Now we've altered time going forward. So coming back, our past is now different. But how do you recognize those changes?
I don't know. All I know is that if the first time machine that's actually developed isn't a DeLorean, I'm going to be fucking pissed. No, yeah, that's a... Time travel is such a hard concept to even think about. Like,
Well, it's an infinite causal loop.
you almost have to think of it in linear directions of time, which time actually doesn't operate in a linear fashion.
No, it doesn't.
And they've already proved that with science, like, time doesn't exist at the same rate from even, like, clocks on Earth and clocks on, like, say, the space station. Time moves slower up there. So it all has to do with, like, how fast you're spinning around the Earth, how fast time moves for you.
Yeah, essentially.
Which is super fucking weird to even think about.
Shit, even time around a black hole dilates very differently.
Yeah.
Because time is energy in motion, essentially. Mm-hmm. And because we're perpetually in a state of motion, time is relative to our speed and direction. Now, when you go out somewhere where there is no speed or direction, time's going to behave very differently. So it's such a mind-bending thing, and I enjoy thinking about it, but it gives me a headache.
Yeah.
But then you watch a time travel movie, and you're like, that's bullshit. That's not how that would happen.
Bull fucking shit, dude.
And then they retcon it 55 times because they go, oh shit, we have time travel. This doesn't have to be this way.
Yeah. Why didn't you just go back in time in the first place?
Yeah. Skynet's finally like, oh shit, we could send 2 Terminators?
It was
Why didn't we do
inevitable.
that? I am inevitable.
Yeah, so these prophecyers or prophet Baba Vanga or Nostradamus, you know, is there a reason for them speaking in code other than just to be like, yeah, it's going to happen, you just have to decipher when? I know when, but I can't just say it.
I also kind of have to give them a little bit of credence that maybe what they see isn't like an exact telling of the events. You know, you think about the way she talked about 9/11, the metal bird and wolves in the bush and things like that. What if that information was only given to her in snippets, or the information is given to her in a cryptic way, and that's just how she's able to decipher it?
Well, it almost seems like a dream type scenario.
Mhm.
Like, imagine how you see things in dreams, and then you wake up and think about your dream, and it's like, oh, this correlates to all these things in my life. You just even, like dream dictionary type shit, like certain things represent certain things in your life.
Yeah.
Which we should probably do an episode on just dreams in general. But having these dreams and yeah, none of this shit lines up with anything that's going on with me, and then like further down the years you go and you're like, oh shit, this is what that dream meant.
Yeah.
And that's what like most prophets throughout history have, is these visions of like pretty much dreams.
Yeah.
They can happen when you're awake or when you're asleep, where they see things they don't understand and they say, I just had this weird thing happen to me, this is what happened, boom, 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 whatever. And then, 30 years down the road, something happens and you're like, that's exactly what I saw, that's exactly what I was feeling or like sensing.
Well, I think in her case, especially because she was blinded so young, and she's from rural Bulgaria, southern Bulgaria, where it's farmland, that she had not seen so many things in her life that she was able to really interpret it. Like, she probably never saw a plane. So when she talks about an iron bird, that's probably the way her mind can help her perceive it, because she's guaranteed seen a bird.
Yeah.
But she never saw a plane. She was blinded too early, like 20 years before World War II, when planes became a prevalent like tool of war, or commercial air travel, things like that. So maybe when she would see these things, it was just put into her perception in a way that she can perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
Or like wolves hiding in a bush, like you know intrinsically that wolves are dangerous.
Yeah.
But why bush? You would think of a bush, not knowing it was going to be interpreted so literally.
Well, even that, like for her to say bush, like if she was just shown a vision of George Bush, she would know who the fuck he is.
She'd be like, some white dude.
Yeah.
He squints
like,
a lot.
Some squinty fucking guy that, yeah.
Now, if she had been a little bit more specific, she's like, yeah, some dude who squints and talks like an idiot. You'd be like, oh, George Bush.
George W?
Yeah. I know that guy. He's dumb.
Yeah, maybe they're just being, like even Nostradamus, like seeing shit that's happening today. I mean, what was he in the 1200s or something like
something like that?
Seeing airplanes or seeing like wars that are happening today, not knowing what it is, he's going to describe it as in the words that he knows.
Yeah, he's got to put it through his own lens and use his own vernacular for it.
Yeah.
So that part makes a bit more sense to me. But the idea of, like you were talking about, writing it cryptically or veiling it is maybe, let's say these people are telling the truth and they actually could see these things. They're putting it in so it's not so plain and simple to where you're going to go seek that out. It's not, if Nostradamus had wrote, Donald Trump will be elected in 2024, we would be looking directly for that instead of letting it kind of be in the purview. Or it's something of, you write it cryptically, and then after so many are right, people are going to look at what you're actually writing and go, okay, now we have to look at these things and try to avert the big ones. Like building your own credibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, you know, my skeptic mind looks at those things as easy ways out. Like I can talk about, like, write a poem about, you know, different smoked meats and stuff like that, and then say, dude, I prophesied that you were gonna have a fucking barbecue 10 years from now. But I mean, some of the things are very specific.
Yeah.
Like the metal birds and the bush seem very specific, but is it only specific in the way that we're looking at it, or is it like, you know, these things are supposed to be taken literally, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because it's such a jumbled, like, dreamscape.
Yeah, it's a clusterfuck of a phrase.
Yeah.
For sure. Sounds poetic.
Sounds very poetic. And it's, I mean, cool to listen to. The other thing with Baba Vanga that we just talked about it, like, nothing was written down. So a lot of the things that have come out, like the 9/11 stuff, like, nobody was talking about that until after 9/11 happened. Then people were saying, oh yeah, that's what Baba Vanga said. She said this specifically. Like, and then it came out that she had said these things, but, like, where did she write that down? Like, where's the proof that she said that?
Yeah.
There is no proof. Just people saying that she said it.
I have that same problem of, my general take is that I think she had abilities, but it probably became such a celebrity thing that everything that came to pass, oh, she predicted that. Oh, she predicted that. You know, at some point before you're 50, you're going to cut one of your fingernails too short and it's going to be really tender. She predicted that.
Oh, that's happening now.
Oh my God. She predicted that.
She did.
I didn't know her. I never spoke to her. I never read nothing she wrote. I've not watched her on video, but I knew she did it.
Now, is that your own psychic abilities that it's being revealed right now?
No, I just know we clip our fingernails often enough that happens.
Yeah.
So that leads to another problem is how many of the things that get predicted are kind of like...
inevitabilities?
Not quite an inevitability, but you could probably piece it together. You could say, like, oh, Putin's going to try to make a coup and take back everything from the USSR. Like, obviously.
Yeah.
But just because I said it 20 years ago doesn't mean I prophesized it. It just, the writing was on the wall. It was bound to happen.
Yeah.
Or, let's see, what would... let me try to make a prediction right now. What's a good one?
Due to the unrest between the two political parties in the U.S., there will be a civil war in the next 50 years.
In the next 50 to 700 years. Perfect. Something that could actually happen. And put like a big blanket timeline on it.
Yeah.
Like it could happen here or here.
Yeah. Just depends on how you guys act, so fucking act right.
So straighten your shit up. And stop voting for retards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to... The prophecies are a hard thing for me to grasp, which I don't, like, think that they don't actually have abilities. But for me to, like, believe them wholeheartedly and be like a Baba Vanga follower, which she actually created a church.
Yeah.
And had, like, all of her followers and stuff at this church and stuff. Which is, you know, whatever. I would do the same thing, probably. If I had a church at Dave-Inci's Code,
Ooh,
I guess.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. We could start a cult.
Tax write-offs.
Tax write-offs.
Yeah, when they kind of buy into their celebrity, their own celebrity in that way, it becomes morally confusing. Kind of like when we talk about, you know, the guys in the alien stratosphere who are making a shitload of money off of being part of that. Which, hey, man, make your bread. Everybody should. But when you keep perpetuating and perpetuating to the point where you have to lie just to keep that flow going, like, then you become disingenuous and everything you've said beforehand comes into question.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with, like, Baba Vanga, where she created a church, and guess what churches do? They charge tithing. And now you're making money off of it, which, again, make your money. That's probably not the best way to do it.
And it's smart, like, to create generational wealth, like start a church. She also turned her house into a museum that you can go and visit. And I mean, which is creating, I mean, I don't know if she has kids or family or whatever, but like, probably makes a little bit of money.
Oh, yeah. And with being able to perpetuate her stories on the internet and stuff like that, like, I'm sure they're doing just fine.
Which gives incentive to perpetuate those stories and
Yeah.
keep that cash cow fed.
Yeah, I mean, when you got small-time channels like this one over here still talking about it, because we've seen other things from other channels that tell you, you know, this story and this legend, you become curious about it, it'll just keep rolling.
No, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a topic of, like, just to put your mind into a spin, you know, spin your mind a little bit just to, you know, see what you believe and where you stand on certain things, and it's definitely fun.
It is, and I think the especially cool part of it for me is just the belief that we as Stardust people in our meat spacesuits are capable of using our minds for something well beyond our purview of what we think is possible.
Yeah.
You know, you get people who, they're seers, they can see the future, and then you have people who can communicate with the dead, or people who can summon UAPs with their mind and shit like that. Like, I think that's the most interesting thing.
It is.
Because it kind of gives you a sense of, I can do something more.
Oh yeah, it makes you think that, you know, this one person isn't special because they're the chosen one. They're special because they adapted into this other frequency that everybody is able to tap into, but like we've talked about before, like, you just have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, and I think the sad thing is a lot of these people who can do these crazy things, it has to be, they almost stumble on it, you know, and usually it's brought about by some kind of pain, tragedy, or hardship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do we do that without all the shitty parts?
Well, yeah, it's crazy to see that, like, all these, like, seers and, like, even, like, UAP people, experiencers, and paranormal experiencers, a lot of them have had NDEs, near-death experiences, and there's got to be some kind of a coincidence between those things that are happening. Like, why are these people, after these experiences take place, able to tap into this other thing that they can't explain, and seems so foreign to people like us, normal people with normalish operating brains.
Yeah.
Even like telepathy tapes, you know, these people with these autistic traits are able to tap into this telepathic space. There's something to do with the frequency that their mind is operating on.
Yeah, I think there has to do with pain. Like, pain is one of the greatest regulators of your life.
Yeah.
You're not going to learn until you've been hurt, that kind of thing. So I think a lot of these people, and even to a large extent, you know, the autistic folks, that they're born into a body that they can't control, that they have no real, like, ownership of. so their mind is compensating differently, but that's a painful life. Or with Chris Bledsoe, essentially died twice. That's a lot of pain that you had to go through, and I think that there's something with kind of cracking your shell.
Yeah.
So that once it's gone, now you're kind of exposed and you're raw, and you're able to be more in tune with other things.
Yeah, that kind of bleeds into the Montauk Project, where they were supposedly taking these kids, which, Jake Barber and Stephen Greer talks about, where there were operations where they were going to these indigenous people, trafficking these people out of these tribes that have more of a natural view or a more culturalistic view of the world, who are kind of already more closely in tune with the spiritual realm, but they would take them and then put them through these experiments, and Stephen Greer talks about it, that they would, pain is the ultimate catalyst to open up these different mind frequencies.
For sure.
So that's how they would train their psionic teams, was they would get these kids, but that's exactly what the Montauk Project was talking about, was they would get these kids, put them through extreme situations, pain and
sexual assault.
Yeah, the Montauk Project was supposed to be, that's what they're talking about, but it turns out that it's just that one guy fucking molesting people.
Oh, you're one of the Montauk boys? I got a special massage.
Here, let me massage you real quick and see if you see anything weird.
It's like, I didn't see anything. You just raped me, you sick fuck.
So yeah, maybe we just need to flog each other to do our C5 training.
I'm just whipping the shit out of you. You see the fucking future yet? You're just like,
yeah, in about 10 minutes I'm gonna fucking kick your fucking ass.
Yeah, I see the future when it's my turn to whip you and fuck you up. I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
because the first time you'd fucking hit me with that whip, I'd be like, harder, daddy.
Yeah, I would just be like, oh fuck,
like son of a
stop time.
I don't want to see UAPs. I don't care about the future. This sucks.
Future is me going to the hospital to get these fucking wounds taken care of.
Yeah, just stitch all that shit up, would you? And then tell a crazy story. Make it sound really cool.
I can do that.
Yeah. The cartels grabbed me. I fought them off. One of them had a whip.
I just wish you would have given me the drugs instead. And that's what's weird is like, it seems like there's like, you can go through the pain threshold way, or you can go through the like psychedelic drugs type way. I'd rather do the psychedelic drugs.
Yeah. From my own perspective, a few years ago, kind of going through a very painful breakup, really changed my perception for the better, because in that relationship I wasn't growing as a person. And now I was kind of thrust into this life being by myself, where it's like, now you have to grow. You don't have a choice. You have to do this. And that really did put me on a very different path of like learning and self-love and growing as a person. So I definitely understand how that kind of funnels down into when you're hurting, you have the chance to kind of shed your skin and become something else.
Right.
But it's like for these people, Chris Bledsoe or Baba Vanga, who's thrown around by a fucking tornado, that's a lot of pain, and you already went through that threshold and you didn't have a choice. Now you're thrust into a new life with a different kind of gift, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you lose something, it's inevitably replaced by something. So with Baba Vanga, lost her sight, but gained sight in her mind. Or Chris Bledsoe, who's had a really painful life, you know, fucking got shot as a child and essentially died and built his life up and his net worth, and then the bottom fell out, and now he has nothing. He's reduced. Now he's got Crohn's disease, in constant pain, and now he has this really amazing ability to be able to do what he does.
Yeah.
So you lose something, something will take its place. It's just not always what you think it should be.
That's interesting, like, just in the perspective of, like, this is kind of off topic, but, like, you see, I don't know if you ever watch videos on, like, the Illuminati and, like, people that are, like, become stars, and they gain that power by, like, sacrificing something that they love. So a lot of times it's, like...
Their butthole.
Their butthole, or, like... a person that they love, like, they sacrifice and somebody's killed.
Yeah.
And so, like, that furthers their star power, or their fame. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I believe that is kind of the universe's way of balance. If you want something, you have to lose something. There's only so much space that can be occupied. And so if, you know, like a lot of these Hollywood stars and stuff, they have families and kids and things like that, but they want this, like, fame and fortune goal. They have to lose their family to kind of get it.
Well, I personally love Doritos, nacho cheese Doritos, and I'm willing to sacrifice them for the Dave-inci's code.
Really?
Yeah.
So
from this day forward, I will not eat.
So is this a manifestation?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're no longer going to eat nacho cheese Doritos.
Not even going to think about them.
And the channel's just going to blow up.
Yep. Fuck, I'm thinking about them right now.
Fuck. It's okay. You can have the Doritos.
Well, yeah, I mean, that has to do with, like, manifestation and predicting the future. Are we able to do that? They're kind of hand in hand, really. It seems like, if you're going to manifest something, you have to predict that you're going to do it first of all,
yeah,
and then trust and rely on yourself to get there.
Well, manifesting is a funny thing, and I've went down the rabbit hole on it so many times, and I think I like to think of it as an energetic exchange, right? So if, let's say, I'm at home and you're at home, and I could really put it out there and manifest, like, I want Spencer to text me. You know, I think something like that's possible because you are, in a way, pushing that energy out. And within the sense of collective consciousness, it might make you think about me and go, oh, shit, I should see if we're still on for tomorrow and text, you know. I think something like that is totally possible, but a physical transaction of something, not likely. I could manifest a pile of $100 million right here. It's not going to happen. Because that's just not the way it works.
So you're talking about the difference between, like, conscious, like a consciousness manifestation as opposed to a physical manifestation.
Yeah.
Which is weird because, like, right when you texted me yesterday, I was actually about to text you the same thing. Which I was just like, oh, cool. Yes.
We're connected.
Yep.
Send it.
No, yeah. It kind of ties into... So one of the people that we talked about on the near-death experiences episode talked about how when she had died and she was in this other place, her spirit or whatever, when she was dead.
And she walked through the fog?
When she walked through the fog, one of the entities or personages that she was with kind of described to her the way that people are connected through energy. And like if you have a positive interaction with somebody, you're charging your relationship as a positive relationship, so you're connected with the positive kind of energy stream. And if you have negative thoughts about somebody, or like you hate somebody, that negative energy is going to connect you to just like a positive interaction would be, and there's always going to be that energy unless you break that that positive or negative. So if you have negative energy with somebody, that negative energy is always going to be there until you break it.
Yeah. I 1000% believe that.
Yeah, me too.
Because once you, you know, if you have somebody you're mad at, you're pissed off at, you hate, whatever, every time you have an interaction with them in your mind, like you're just reinforcing that negativity.
Yeah.
And when you start to actually just let go of whatever that is, you're no longer bound to that. You could think about that person with indifference, which is not as great as, you know, like love or forgiveness or whatever, but indifference is just saying, like, I release all that negativity. I'm done with it. I don't need it.
Well, also, I mean, even negative energy is energy regardless. Like, so if you're putting out all this negative energy to this person, or this person is pulling all this negative energy from you, that's still energy that you're losing on this negative exchange, which, I mean, you could use that energy for 1,000 other things. Yeah. So it's just not worth it. Like,
it really isn't. I mean, your energy is so sacred to you as a person. And so it's like, how much of it do I want to use for something that serves no purpose?
Yeah.
You know, how much do I want to still be mad at X, Y, or Z person? Or how much do I want to hold a grudge? And it's like, I don't at all. I just see no use in it. I got so many other things to do that I don't even want you in, like, the stratosphere of my brain.
Yeah, I could be using this energy to predict the future right now, but I'm thinking of all the stupid shit that you fucking said.
Yeah. Piece of shit. Well, I mean, just within, like, interpersonal relationships too, you take away from your other ones by feeding into that negativity. I mean, you can just choose to change your polarity. It's a choice that you have to stand by, and you have to make that choice every day. But when you start to do that, it becomes habitual, and then you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, then you don't have to worry about if the other person is receiving that energy as positive or negative in their own mind, because you're
indifferent.
You're indifferent. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But I can kind of understand that too, in the same, like, thought line as the future predictions of, are you kind of manifesting that? Are you putting your energy out there to receive those images or those thoughts, or see these events that haven't come to pass? And I think it is kind of the same thing, where you have to give it enough positive energy for it to come to you.
Yeah. You know what's really weird too is, like, if you're mad at somebody and, like, they, like, show up and you're fucking mad at this person, like, in your mind, and they start giving you, like, all this positive fucking
I hate
energy.
that.
It fucking blows you up so fast. Like,
oh yeah.
Which is weird, because, like, if they were just being negative, you would expect that, and so you would just, like, stay on that negative vibe. But, like, they're giving you positive, energy, and it makes you even madder. I think it's just because the positive is so much more powerful than the negative, that it's just, like, feeding that.
Yeah. I think it's almost like you have a barometer or a switch, and it's either going to go one side or the other, but the meter that powers it can be powered with no matter what. Yeah. Like, you could fill up your energy, and the energy is kind of neutral until you flip the switch and decide where it's going to go. That's, like, mentally, that's the way I envision it.
I like that.
So I could just be like, that same thing, you're already kind of on the negative. They just put more energy in the meter. You're just choosing to make it go that way.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of just receiving that positive and being like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Hey, thanks. you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's so
Instead
weird.
of like, hey, you know what? Fuck you.
It is so weird when you see somebody that you just like, you're mad at or whatever. Yeah, like you were saying, and then it just like makes you 10 times worse.
Yeah.
You're like, God damn it! I know you said something polite to me, and I don't like that.
I don't know if you forgot, but fuck you.
Eat shit, fucking nerd.
You can have a double scoop of shit sundae, you cocksucker.
P.S. While you're at it, go fuck yourself.
Hundy P.
Sometimes you got to get it out, though.
Yeah, and that's another thing that, you know, we as people are kind of taught not to do, and I think that should be more talked about and more normalized, is like having conversations about like not being happy with somebody, or like not being, and it doesn't have to be like yelling and screaming, but just be like, hey, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, sorry.
Well, I mean,
Grow up.
yeah, pussy. I think having boundaries with people is important.
Yeah.
Of being able to say, like, look, it's nothing personal, but I don't like you and I don't want to be friends with you, and it's okay. Don't try to pursue it. Just you stay on your side of the court and I'll stay on mine.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to be mature.
Yeah, it is.
But some people, like, I think it's more often than not, people energetically remove themselves.
Yeah.
They themselves will cause a situation to where you will tell yourself, like, I'm done with this person, sever that connection, and then they magically find their way out of your life. And you don't have to see them or talk to them.
Or that person, like, kind of has a self-realization, and then they like, oh shit, you know, and they might come and talk to you and say, hey, you know what, this is what was going on, this, and this, I'm sorry.
And you're like, cool, thanks.
Cool, yeah.
We're even Steven, but still stay on your side of the fence.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen a whole lot, though.
That doesn't. And I think it just has a lot to do with, you know, egos and self-preservation.
Emotional maturity.
Yeah.
That's why more people need psychedelics, dude. Ego death. It's great for you.
Yeah, and it's a lot can be learned from just one or two times, but you know, sometimes multiple times or once annual type thing is probably a good thing.
Whenever you're called to it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best. Because you could go years.
Yeah.
And then you're finally like, I'm feeling it. Like, it's calling to me. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people can't wrap their mind around, is being called to go do drugs, basically.
That's called addiction, bro.
No, it's not. If you're addicted to psychedelics, you got a problem that I don't think can be fixed.
Yeah, I think that people that do psychedelics on a regular basis like that are more addicted to the feeling of the self-discovery.
Yeah.
And they're chasing that as opposed to like the drug itself.
Yeah, I tend to think a lot of them are, they're more in tune with the idea of the escapism too. But it's like there's a proportion that you have to understand with that, is you got to have like 99% reality and then that 1% disconnection, because you're going to make all of that reality make more sense when you're disconnected from it.
Yeah, I think that in my mind it's like the longer you go, the more like tunnel vision you get. Like you're focused on like one thing, and then you do this substance that like reevaluates your perception and opens it back up, and you're just like, oh yeah,
100%.
oh yeah. And then like you go for a while and you start like going down through the trees, and then you just like get focused back in and then do it again.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, that was like very vague, but like.
No, I understood 100% what you're talking about. Yeah, because you get so caught up in the minutia of life
Yeah.
that you forget to have perception on everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll take a trip and suddenly your bandwidth is wide open again.
Yeah.
Just because you just opened up your mind.
It's very strange, is like I kind of get that same, almost the same effect just doing these episodes of like, I'm going through, work and daily life, kids, wife, family, work, and it just like tunnel vision, and then like, okay, let's do this topic, and it's like, boom.
Yeah.
Back open, like, okay, these are things that are all possible in life, and it just opens my mind up to like, that's why I think I really enjoy doing these things and doing the research and seeing all these different aspects of the realm of consciousness and stuff. It just opens the gaze of the power of our minds.
Yeah. I was actually kind of thinking about that the other day. Something very similar to that of, I do love the aspect of, we'll pick a topic, and especially when it's something like outlandish or not talked about very often or whatever, and then you get to go down the rabbit hole, and you do get a little giddy kind of doing it. You're like, oh shit, I didn't know that. Oh, that's awesome. But I also like the aspect of, for one, it forces us to do it. It's not like when you go to work, you don't fucking want to go to work. But when you do this, it's like, oh man, I can't wait. This is so fun.
Yeah.
You're getting outside of, not necessarily outside of the house, but you're getting outside of your day-to-day life to just go sit and bullshit for an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever about something that you had fun researching about, And then, it helps that kind of stagnation that we tend to get, especially with our schedule, that you kind of get to days off and you're like, I don't want to do anything. I'm tired or whatever. But you still get up and do this because it brings fulfillment.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Now, if only we were getting paid to do it. Maybe that's the sacrifice we got to make. You got to get
Doritos in there. I'm not having Doritos anymore, dude.
I was going to say not working anymore.
Oh. Yeah.
Hey man, if that was a real possibility, I'd fucking put in my 2 weeks right now.
I wouldn't even put in 2 weeks, dude.
Well, I'd put in my 2 weeks and then use my vacation for my remaining 2 weeks.
True. I do have some vacation.
Same.
I call in sick. I'd put in 4 weeks. Call in sick for the first 2 weeks.
Get your sick pay too. Fuck, maybe just go on short term.
Yeah, short term. I twisted my ankle.
I don't know if you know this, but I stubbed my fucking toe.
Hey, remember the other day when I said that I hit my head? Yeah, I can't see straight anymore.
I'd send you a picture, but it's gruesome. I don't want you to turn your light.
I can't figure out how to work my phone. No, yeah, but in the sense of like Baba Vanga and people with like fortune telling abilities, I do believe that that is a real thing, and people are capable of doing that. Now, all the things that you've read off on your list, I don't know. I'm not one that's going to be like looking to the next 4 days and Donald Trump is going to die.
No.
But could it have happened in an alternate reality? Most likely.
For sure. He's not the healthiest man.
No.
They said my test results were great. I got on the treadmill.
They bought everybody McDonald's to celebrate.
It's like a mountain of fucking McDonald's, too. Yeah, no, I do believe people have gifts. People have abilities. I don't believe in the kind of celebrity nature of those abilities.
Yeah.
I again, if somebody's milking that cash cow, great, get your bread, but it does hurt your credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And even a guy like Chris Bledsoe, I'm sure he's making some money, but he's not getting rich off of what he's doing now.
Doesn't seem like it.
In fact, I would dare say he's probably not getting paid.
Well, yeah.
And you know, when he goes out and he does these excursions with people, just to show them it's real, you're putting out that kind of positive energy of like, look, I'm not trying to make $1 million. I want to change your mind. I want you to see that this is real, and you'll open your bandwidth to it. And then all of your viewers are going to see it, and they're going to open their bandwidth. So doing it for the right reason, you're bettering humanity, and that's more than dollars.
Yeah.
But when you are making a lot of dollars off of it, it kind of makes me go, you might be full of shit.
Yeah. And I hate to bring it up again, but like the Stephen Greer thing, like him telling people to book this cruise and going to do this stuff, seems like a money-making scheme as opposed to like Lou Elizondo, who goes on all these shows. And he said multiple times on a lot of his interviews he doesn't accept people to pay him to go on these.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to pay him to go on the podcast. He just wants to go there and get the word out. Like, he's trying to give the information that he has to a broader, everybody that'll listen, which kind of leads me to believe that he's more truthful, or that he's a better psyop than fucking Stephen Greer is.
Either way, he's winning.
He's winning, in my mind.
Yeah, he's...
Plus, fucking Stephen Greer looks like a zombie, dude.
I think of it this way. I've got this perfect perception. So you have Stephen Greer and Lou Elizondo. Lou Elizondo is like the Chuck Norris, and Stephen Greer is the Steven Seagal.
Stephen Greer's Seagal. I wish Lou Elizondo was here right now. I'd kick his fucking ass.
That's become such a good running joke. Like, kick his fucking ass. Yeah, it's kind of the way I see him. Like, there's still validity to one, but the other one is way better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know we kind of got off topic a lot on that one, but
I think it was all relevant.
It was all relevant to the subject.
Yeah.
Because in the world of people with really cool abilities, I think fortune tellers are like the bottom. They're like the mimes.
They're like the mimes of the art industry.
Yeah. Like, it's cool, but it's not that cool.
Yeah. It's cool, but why don't you tell me what's going to happen tomorrow instead of fucking 90 years from now where I'm going to be dead?
Yeah. Well, can you, like, maybe give me some useful information? Winning lotto numbers, perhaps. When's the next time I'm going to get laid? That sort of thing. Those are way more important to me than...
if any psychics are out there that can tell Dave these things.
The lotto numbers first, please.
Then the laid thing will take care of itself.
Yeah, it's just self-perpetuating. It's work-free at that point.
Yeah.
They're going to be beating down your door.
Yeah, not only your door.
I heard you got $500 million. You right. So where would you place him?
In my mind, they're kind of the bottom of my, like...
cool superpowers list.
Cool superpowers list, yeah. I mean, the psionics abilities are fucking super cool to me.
Yeah.
If they're... Like Chris Bledsoe, I would like to go and meet with him and have him take me out and fucking summon in some fucking UAPs for sure.
Dude, I'd pay him for it.
Yeah, I'd give him the Doritos. Dude, I bought all these Doritos and I can't eat them, so here.
I got a subscription for Doritos for you. You deserve... We're trying to blow up the channel. It's a manifest thing. Don't worry about it. He's like, oh, I got it. Next thing you know, the views are just pop, 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 pop.
Maybe that's what we gotta do.
Dude, if Chris Bledsoe is listening, like, we got you. I hope you like Doritos.
Yeah. We're gonna tag Bledsoe.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? I appreciate that. I do like Doritos.
Yeah. So, like, in his interview, he did say that, like, people send him pictures and stuff like that, and he does, like, kind of, like... So he's very spiritual, and so he talks about, like, people... And part of his journey is that, like, he started to have, like, healing abilities. Did you watch any of that part?
Yeah.
Where he was, like, his dog got injured, and so like he healed his dog, and then like there was a kid that was dying of some rare blood disease and had a Make-A-Wish thing, and was meeting with President Obama, and so one of the like people brought Chris Bledsoe out there and had him talk with this kid who was on like a feeding tube and was pretty much dying, was going to die, and like healed him of this like rare blood disease disorder.
Pretty crazy.
Fucking pretty crazy. Yeah.
He really is like Paul. Remember when he healed that chick's
Yeah.
So how'd you do that? Evolution, baby. Yeah, maybe that's it. He evolved.
He evolved.
Yeah. But yeah, that was fun. I'm glad we talked about it. I'm glad we talked about more of the other stuff, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that the psychic abilities just kind of led into the other stuff.
Well, I have to believe that's like the basis of understanding.
Yeah.
Is really understanding how energy works within people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the floor of it, and then you kind of go up from there. So maybe we'll get our superpowers soon. Please let it be something besides fortune telling. That's the Fantastic Four of fucking.
Fuck!
And when I'd rather be an X-Man, you know. Yeah.
What's the matter? I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow.
You're like, Spencer, you're gonna have some beers tonight. Tomorrow, just stay home because you're gonna shart.
You know what? I think you're right.
That would be handy in that way.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, humanity's gonna end in 5097. Who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck? That's way too far away to even think that's
I'm not gonna
3,000
be
years
there.
away.
I'm not gonna be there.
Yeah.
Don't care. Yeah, that was good. Let's pull the plug. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.